We live in a world where the noise never stops. Notifications, messages, alerts, all the time, from every direction. We're always connected, but deep down, almost never at peace. And what if I told you that the greatest treasure we can rediscover today isn't in new technology or in more achievements, but in something simple, something free, something that has always been within our reach: silence. Buddha once said that an unsettled mind is like muddy water. Only when the water becomes still can we see clearly to the bottom. In today's world, the flood of information is like stones constantly being thrown into that lake. The more the disturbance, the less the clarity. Silence isn't the absence of sound, it's presence. It's the moment we can truly hear ourselves. It's the space where life reveals itself. Science now confirms what monks have practiced for centuries. Silence reduces stress, strengthens the mind, brings balance, and creates space for focus and creativity to grow. But silence doesn't mean running away. It doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It means creating conscious pauses, starting your day without touching your phone, eating a meal without distractions, taking a few minutes to simply breathe. In silence, these small gestures bring us back to the present. They help us separate what's urgent from what's truly important and remind us of what really matters. Buddha would remind us, silence is not an escape, it's a return inward, to clarity, to freedom from being pulled in every direction. We live in a time that rewards the loudest voice, the most visible, the ones who never stop. But maybe true wisdom lies in doing the opposite, in choosing silence as a form of inner strength. Because when we choose silence, we gain something rare, the ability to listen to others, to listen to life, and most importantly, to listen to ourselves. In the middle of the chaos of information, silence becomes a revolution, a simple revolution, a quiet one, but deeply transformative. So the question is, when was the last time you allowed yourself to simply sit in silence? We live in a time where everything moves fast. Deadlines, messages, demands from every direction, and the pressure to always do more, to always be more. In this rush, we often forget something essential. We forget to truly live the present moment. Mindfulness is not just a practice, it's a way of coming back home to ourselves, of slowing down, even while life keeps moving. Buddha taught that the present is the only moment we really have, but how often do we trade it away? Lost in regrets about the past, or anxieties about the future. Mindfulness is the art of paying attention to your breath, to the taste of your food, to the sound of a friend's voice, to the simple beauty of being alive right now. Science shows us what wisdom already knew. Mindfulness lowers stress, improves focus, and makes us more compassionate, more present, more human. And the best part? You don't need hours of meditation. You don't need a special place. Mindfulness can happen anywhere. Here, now, walking down the street, take a breath, feel your steps, notice the air against your skin. During a meal, put down the phone, taste every bite, be with your food, be with yourself. Even in the middle of work, pause for just one conscious breath. one moment of awareness, that alone can shift your entire day. Mindfulness isn't about escaping the fast pace of life. It's about moving through it with clarity, with presence, with peace. Because when you are mindful, every moment becomes richer, every action becomes deeper, and life itself becomes more meaningful. So the question is, in the middle of your busy day, when was the last time you truly paid attention to this moment, right here, right now? We live in a world that constantly tells us, buy more, own more, achieve more, and maybe then you'll finally be happy. But the truth is, the more we chase, the more empty we often feel, because happiness doesn't come from what we hold in our hands. It comes from what we carry in our hearts. Buddha taught the power of letting go, not because things are bad, but because clinging to them creates suffering. The tighter we hold, the more we fear losing, and the more restless our minds become. Look around. New trends appear every day. The phone you buy today feels old tomorrow. The clothes, the gadgets, the possessions, they never stop changing. And yet, we keep chasing, hoping the next thing will finally fill the void. But what if true freedom lies not in adding more, but in needing less? Letting go doesn't mean rejecting the world. It means not letting the world own you. It means using things without being used by them, enjoying what you have without being defined by it. Imagine how light life could feel if joy didn't depend on the next purchase, if your worth wasn't tied to what you wear, what you drive, or what you own. Detachment is not emptiness. The spaciousness is creating room for what truly matters. Peace, love, compassion, connection. Because at the end of the day, no possession can go with us, but the kindness we gave, the moments we lived fully, the love we shared, those are treasures nothing can take away. So in a world that shouts more, 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 maybe the greatest act of wisdom is to whisper back, enough. And the question is, what are you ready to let go of so you can finally live lighter, freer, and more at peace? We live in a world that often celebrates the self above all else. Be stronger, be faster, stand out, compete, win. Individual achievement is praised. Personal success is glorified. And yet, something is missing, because no matter how much we accomplish alone, we are not separate. We are deeply connected. Buddha once taught that compassion is the heartbeat of wisdom, that to truly understand life, we must feel the suffering of others as if it were our own. But today, in times of deep individualism, compassion can feel like a forgotten language, a gentle voice drowned out by the noise of self-interest. Think about it. We scroll through endless feeds, but rarely pause to see the person behind the post. We pass by strangers every day, but often forget they carry stories, struggles, and dreams just like ours. Individualism whispers, protect yourself, put yourself first. Compassion whispers something different. We belong to each other, and that whisper, that call to compassion, is what the world needs most right now. Compassion is not weakness. It is not pity. It is strength. The courage to step beyond the walls of the self and to care for another human being. Imagine how different our communities could be If instead of asking, "What's in it for me?" we asked, "How can I ease the burden of another?" Science now tells us what wisdom traditions have said for centuries. Acts of compassion not only heal others, they heal us too. They lower stress, strengthen our hearts, and bring a sense of purpose that success alone can never provide. But compassion is not just grand gestures. It's not only about saving the world or changing entire systems. It begins with the smallest choices: a kind word, a moment of listening, a willingness to forgive, a smile offered to a stranger who feels invisible. In times of individualism, compassion is revolutionary because it disrupts the illusion that we are separate. It reminds us that your suffering affects me, and my joy is incomplete without yours. Buddha spoke of interdependence, that everything exists in relation, that nothing and no one stands alone. To live with compassion is to live in harmony with this truth. But here's the challenge. Compassion requires slowing down. It requires presence. It requires the courage to look beyond our own struggles and to see the humanity in front of us. In a culture that pushes us to always move faster, always climb higher, always prove ourselves, compassion invites us to pause, to breathe, to notice the other person's pain, and to respond with love. Think of the moments in your own life when someone showed you compassion. A friend who listened without judgment. A stranger who helped you when you least expected it. A teacher, a parent, a partner who stood by you in your darkest hour. Those moments are unforgettable because compassion has the power to heal wounds that achievement never could. Now imagine being that source of healing for someone else. That's the gift compassion offers us. The chance to transform not only another person's life, but our own. Compassion also has a ripple effect. One act of kindness inspires another, and another, until slowly an entire culture can shift from indifference to care, from separation to connection. And isn't that what the world is longing for? Not more isolation, not more walls, but more bridges, more hands reaching out, more hearts willing to understand. In times of individualism, compassion becomes a form of resistance, a quiet revolution against the myth of separation, a way of saying, your life matters, your pain matters, you are not alone. Buddha would remind us that compassion is not optional. It is essential, for without it, the world becomes colder, harsher, emptier, but with it, the world becomes human again. So maybe the real question is not whether we can afford to be compassionate, but whether we can afford not to be, because at the end of our lives, it won't be the trophies, the titles, or the possessions we remember. It will be the moments of love, of care, of compassion. And so I leave you with this. In a world that tells you to focus only on yourself, dare to look outward, dare to care, dare to live with compassion. For in the end, compassion is not just what the world needs from you, it's what your own heart has been longing for all along. The world today moves faster than ever. Deadlines, expectations, uncertainty. And in the middle of it all, we often feel overwhelmed. Anxiety tightens the chest, stress weighs on the shoulders, and peace feels far away. But what if emotional balance wasn't about eliminating stress completely? what if it was about learning how to stand steady, even when the storm is all around us? Buddha once compared the mind to a candle in the wind. Unprotected, it flickers, it struggles, but when shielded, it shines steadily. Emotional balance is that shield. It doesn't mean avoiding difficulties. It means meeting them with calm, with clarity, with strength. So how do we cultivate this balance in a world that constantly pulls us off center? First, by breathing, simple but powerful. When the mind races, the breath becomes shallow. But when we breathe deeply, slowly, the body softens, the heart slows, and the mind finds space again. Second, by noticing, anxiety grows when we fight our emotions. Stress grows when we resist what is happening. But balance comes when we pause, observe, and accept what is present, not as a judgment, but as awareness. Third, by letting go of control. So much of our suffering comes from trying to manage what is beyond us. The future, the opinions of others, the endless what-ifs. Balance comes when we release this grip and focus on what we can touch, this moment, this choice, this breath, and finally, by remembering compassion for ourselves and for others, because balance is not perfection. It's the gentle act of returning again and again, back to center, back to peace. Science now shows us what these ancient practices revealed long ago. Mindfulness lowers anxiety. Meditation reduces stress. Compassion heals the nervous system. Emotional balance is not an illusion. It's a practice. Imagine carrying this balance into your daily life. A difficult conversation arises, but instead of reacting in anger, you respond with calm. A wave of anxiety comes, but instead of drowning, you breathe and it passes. Stress builds, but instead of breaking, you bend, you adapt, you remain steady. This is the gift of emotional balance. Not that life becomes easier, but that you become stronger, more present, more resilient, more free. Buddha would remind us that peace is not found in the absence of storms. It is found in learning how to stand firm in the middle of them. So the question is, what would change in your life if you chose balance over reaction? If you chose presence over fear? If you chose calm, even in the face of chaos? Because in the end, emotional balance is not about escaping life. It's about embracing it fully, with clarity, with courage, and with peace. We live in a culture that constantly invites us to compare. Compare our bodies, our careers, our homes, our happiness. Every scroll, every post, every image whispers, "You are not enough. You should be more." And so we measure ourselves against others. We chase someone else's version of success. We try to live someone else's story. And slowly, we lose touch with our own. Buddha once said that the greatest journey is not across the world, but within, the path of self-knowledge, the discovery of who we truly are, because comparison is endless. There will always be someone richer, more beautiful, more successful, but self-knowledge takes courage. It means asking difficult questions. Who am I beyond the roles I play? What do I truly value? What brings me alive? And it means listening honestly to the answers, not the answers given by society, not the answers shaped by comparison, but the quiet truth that rises within when we dare to be still. When we turn inward, we begin to see our strengths, our wounds, our unique path, and instead of trying to be someone else, we begin to embrace who we already are. This doesn't mean we stop learning from others, but it means we learn with gratitude, not with envy. We admire without feeling less. We are inspired without losing ourselves. Science reminds us too, constant comparison feeds anxiety. It erodes self-worth. But practices of self-reflection, mindfulness, and journaling, they strengthen identity. They anchor us in who we are. Imagine how life would change if instead of comparing your journey to someone else's, you honored the steps you've already taken. If instead of asking, "Why am I not there yet?" you asked, "What have I discovered about myself today?" Comparison steals joy, but self-knowledge creates freedom. The freedom to live authentically, to walk your own path with confidence, to shine in your own light. Buddha would remind us, do not look outside for validation, look within, because the treasure you seek is not in someone else's life. It is already inside you. So the question is, will you keep comparing, chasing shadows? Or will you begin the journey inward, the only journey that can lead you to peace, to purpose, and to yourself? We live in an age of speed, instant messages, instant meals, instant answers. The world has taught us that faster is always better. But with speed comes restlessness. We rush through conversations. We rush through work. We even rush through life, always chasing what's next, never fully living what's here. And in this endless hurry, we lose patience with others, with the world, and with ourselves. Buddha once taught that patience is not passive. It is strength. The strength to remain calm in the face of difficulty, the strength to wait without anger, to endure without resentment. In times of hurry, patience becomes a radical practice because it slows the cycle of urgency. It invites us to breathe, to pause, to trust that life unfolds at its own rhythm. Think about it. A seed cannot become a tree overnight. It needs time, seasons, care, and so do we. But we forget. We demand quick results, quick success, quick healing. And when life doesn't move as fast as we want, we suffer. Patience is the antidote. It reminds us that everything meaningful takes time, that growth is not rushed, that love deepens slowly, that wisdom is born from waiting. How do we practice patience in a hurried world? By embracing small moments of stillness, standing in line without checking the phone, listening fully before responding, allowing mistakes without judgment, being gentle with our own progress. Every act of patience is an act of compassion. Compassion for ourselves, compassion for others, compassion for the pace of life itself. Science shows us too, patience reduces stress, it strengthens relationships, it makes us more resilient, it gives us the capacity to live with peace instead of constant frustration. Imagine a world where patience guided us, where drivers gave way instead of honking, where parents listened instead of shouting, where leaders chose dialogue over reaction. That world is possible, and it begins with one choice: the choice to slow down, to breathe, to wait with an open heart. Because patience is not about losing time. It's about gaining presence. It's about choosing peace over urgency, wisdom over impulse, love over